right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been too long. I apologize about that, but we're back now, and we're going to do another verse of the Tao Te Ching coming from Dr. Wayne Dyer's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. We're going to be looking at the 10th verse, and he titles it Living Oneness, but he expands so beautifully after the verse here. Right before we get into that, something that can really help to go towards happiness, or even maybe just a greater sense of peace in life when you're feeling frustrated or things aren't going the way that you want them to go, is gratitude. You have to make a conscious choice in your mind to say, what am I thankful for? We have to see ourselves as more fortunate rather than less fortunate than many others. And I think that's a great way to maybe change the perspective, because it's all about perspective. And if we want to be happy, then why don't we look at our perspective? All right. Living Oneness. The 10th verse of the Tao Te Ching. Carrying body and soul and embracing the one, can you avoid separation? Can you let your body become as supple as a newborn child's in the opening and shutting of heaven's gate? Can you play the feminine part? Can you love your people and govern your domain without self-importance? Giving birth and nourishing, having yet not possessing. Working yet not taking credit. Leading without controlling or dominating. One who heeds this power brings the Tao to this very earth. This is the primal virtue. This stuff is so soul nourishing to read. It's really wonderful. So let's go into Wayne Dyer's observation, his little essay on this 10th verse of the Tao Te Ching. He titles Living Oneness. This verse of the Tao Te Ching examines the paradoxical nature of life on earth. Lao-tzu encourages the attainment of comfort with the seemingly incompatible opposites of body and soul, which form the basis of our daily life. We are connected to the power of the eternal Tao, while simultaneously being in a mortal physique. As we take on this seemingly ambiguous stance, we begin to see the world revealed as flawless. I'll elaborate there. It's almost like when you start to take, like he says, take the ambiguous stance, or to see the opposite nature of how we are spirit that cannot be that is not physical at all, but at the same time we are body that is physical and can be affected by the physical world. And so, as he says here, when we take on this seemingly ambiguous state, we begin to see the world revealed as flawless, because if you are spirit and you're growing through a path of the lessons of the physical world. All right, I'll quit rabbit trailing. Let's go back here. Revealed as flawless. Everything that seems to be absolute is an opportunity to recognize its paradoxical reality. This teaching takes the form of a series of questions. Can an adult body, with all the conditions inherent in the aging process, such as stiffness, soreness, limitations caused by aching joints, and so on, be as supple as a newborn's body? Is it possible to be someone who works and struggles and still be the feminine spirit, birthing creation. Now, are you beginning to see the opposites there? We have this physical, the stiffness, the soreness, and the aching joints and so on, but in spirit, in mind, be as supple as a newborn's body. So it's like, even though it's one way, it is also another way, depending if we allow ourselves to open up and recognize this and choose this consciously. Let's go. Is it possible to be someone who works and struggles, a feminist, and then working and struggling versus just birthing creation? Can one succeed in these similar ways and still be free of feelings of self-importance? Is it possible to stay true to the Tao without allowing ego to dominate? Yet successfully function in an ego-dominated world. And that's a real key for all of us to work on. It's a great learning and a great teaching. Is it possible to stay true without allowing ego to dominate, yet successfully function in an ego-dominated world? That's the old being in the world and not of it. Or knowing that you're in a game, but playing the game with some gusto, doing it well, while knowing it's it's just an illusion, or whatever you want to call it. This 10th verse promotes a way of living that is guided by the power of the embracing one. Power of embracing the one. When the illusion of duality appears more powerful, read Hafiz's writing on this subject thousands of years after the Tao Te Ching was written. Only that illuminated one who keeps seducing the formless into form had the charm to win my heart. Only a perfect one who is always laughing at the word too can make you know of love. To me, that speaks of, we're always judging the world of form, and we're breaking it down into categories, and things are good and bad, and we don't really see the interconnectedness, the oneness of how everything works together. And when you try to describe the world in terms of two, good or bad, this or that, these are the illumined one who keeps seducing the formless into form had the charm to win my heart. Only a perfect one who is always laughing at the word two can make you know of love. When we stop separating things, when we stop separating ourselves from spirit, from Tao, from God, from everything, when we stop separating everything from anything, our origin cannot be split, Wayne Dyer continues. Yet we are in a world that all too often seems to reject the perfect oneness that is the Tao. We can personally live the Tao by suspending our belief in opposites and reactivating our awareness of its unity. That is, we can surrender ego and be in this world without being of it. This is my interpretation of Lao-tzu's advice from his 2,500-year-old perspective. Embrace oneness by seeing yourself in everyone you encounter. That's a great lesson, great teaching there too, is that see the fullness of God in everything and in everyone. In dead plants and alive plants, in homeless people and very wealthy people. You see the fullness of God in all of them, in all of it. Embrace oneness by seeing yourself in everyone you encounter. Rather than having judgmental thoughts about those whom you regard as separate or different, view others as an extension of yourself. This will diminish self-importance and unite you with with what Lao-tzu calls the primal virtue. Letting go of ego-dominated thoughts lets you sense the oneness that you share with others. Thus, you give yourself the opportunity to feel a part of the all-embracing Tao. Practice inner awareness when you feel yourself about to criticize anyone or any group. And he's about to explain it here, but this is, if you can do this while you're watching the news, or when you see tragedies, or when you see bad things happen in the world that are out of your control, you have to see the fullness of God in everything and know that it is on purpose. And trust, because when you look back at things in the past that were once terrible tragedies, they have become great teachings, great opportunities for us as a species to advance forward in consciousness, spiritually, mentally. Oh boy, I lost my spot. Oh yeah, here we go. Never feel yourself about to criticize anyone or any group. News reports designed to encourage your sense of separateness or superiority in any relation. And those are key things that we don't want to be. We don't want to be separate. We don't want to be superior, because we are all one. We can't be superior to anything. Only from the viewpoint of the physical world and the ego mind that judges and separates things. Then you can be superior. And if you want to live in an ego world of judgment and separation, then there's going to be a lot of suffering that comes along with that decision. And so that's why this wisdom, these teachings, must be considered. Because I don't think people want to live suffering by their own unconscious choice to be ego-dominated and separate from everything and everyone. We need to go the other way. Find yourself as one of them. So when he goes, news reports designed to encourage your sense of separateness, superiority in relation to others, can be a perfect time to do this. Find yourself as one of them. In situations where you're expected to hate an assumed enemy, stop yourself from these judgments and walk an imaginary mile or two in their shoes. Do so with all forms of life, even the plant world. See yourself in everyone and all creations, noting the Tao in this simple observation. We are the world. And this viewpoint, this perspective is not just limited to the Tao. When you research other spiritual traditions from other cultures, you will find this theme always cropping up. Take pleasure from what you possess without being attached to these things. There's a great statement that says our possessions actually possess us. So try to have less possessions so that way you are less possessed by your material world. Let go of your identification with your stuff and your accomplishments. Try instead to enjoy what you do and all that flows into your life simply for the pleasure of doing and observing the flow itself. You literally own nothing and no one. All that is composed will decompose. All that is yours will leave and become someone else's. So step back a bit and allow yourself to be an observer of this world of form. Becoming a detached witness. This is great meditation practice, trying to do this here. Becoming a detached witness will put you into a state of bliss while loosening your tight grip on all of your possessions. It is in this releasing process that you will gain the freedom to live out what the Tao is always teaching by example. There's a story about the Buddha. He was with his friend, forget the names, but his friend says to him while Buddha's fasting, he goes, "What good is fasting, Buddha?" And he goes, "I can laugh at hunger." Now it's kind of, mind-boggling, but it's that idea that becoming a detached witness will put you into a state of bliss when you are no longer the hungerer, but you are what is watching that happen. And you cannot be harmed. What you really are, your internal, your spirit, our soul, our consciousness, our spark, whatever you want to call it, cannot be harmed by this physical world. Our body, our thoughts, but the witness cannot be affected. So therefore, that I can laugh at hunger because I am not hunger or that which is hungering. I am that which is witnessing the process. Do the Tao now. Today, practice seeing oneness where you've previously seen two-ness. Remember, laugh at the word two. Separation. Feel the energy, invisible energy that beats your heart, and then notice it beating the heart of every living creature all at once. Now feel the invisible energy that allows you to think, and sense it doing the same for every being currently alive. Contemplate these words from the Gospel of Thomas. His disciples said to him, "When will the kingdom come?" Jesus said, "It will not come by looking outward. It will not say, 'Behold this side,' or 'Behold that one.' Rather, the kingdom of the Father is spread out upon earth." It would be interesting if you put, "Rather, the kingdom of the Tao is spread out upon earth, and men do not see it." Today, know that practicing oneness and this kind of thinking will help you to see that kingdom. Doesn't it just make you feel good, ladies and gentlemen? And that's a beautiful, wonderful teaching. The oneness is one of the most important things to understand when we're trying to find happiness. I keep saying that like it's a thing that you can grasp onto. You can't go out in the world and get a bucket full of happiness and bring it back and go, "All right, here we go. We got happiness." It's actually a process. It's rather than a result, it's an action. But in order to be able to bring ourselves into a place to where we can consciously create happiness by action in our path while we're going through life, to choose happiness as the way rather than striving and wanting to get someplace, and then when you get there you realize it wasn't what you thought it'd be, and then maybe when I get a new car, or maybe when I get another job, or maybe when I retire and move to Florida and talk about the good old days and how we never had one. It's one of the great Wayne Dyer jokes. But try to use these philosophies and understanding the oneness and the connectedness of everything to make it easier for us to find peace, bliss, happiness in our lives. We can be the witness, and we can choose how we let things affect us. We can choose to be unaffected and rather blissfully aware in the world, but not of it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Go out in the world and try to see this oneness and try to bring bliss and happiness and peace into your life. And then those of us who are happy have a responsibility to share it with others. Thank you so much. I'll be back in the future with more interesting teachings, wisdom. Seek out to achieve the wisdom so that we can maintain happiness through a greater understanding, through becoming enlightened and living in the light. God bless. Peace to all of you.